You're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Green Bay Packers content. Created for the fans by the fans. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know whenever we go live. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Packers_access. Go Pack Go. Enjoy the show.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us, 865-658-5824. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay, here to talk Packers. Little Seahawks preview. We got some other great topics we're going to cover as it is this glorious Friday, December 13th. Friday the 13th, Tim. You ain't been running around the neighborhood with a hockey mask, have you, man?
No. Come on now. 13's a lucky number, man. Come on.
There you go. I thought I'd scare the hell out of neighbors and walk around with a Caleb Williams jersey on. You know what I mean? There's nothing better than that. So the way that goes. Let's do this. Let's give a quick shout out to the good folks over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Wisconsin-based since '92, specializing in Packers tickets. They're Wisconsin's largest ticket source with offices next to Lambeau and in Milwaukee. Click on the link in the video description that'll send you to their website, theticketking.com. You can go over there, register as a customer, start shopping around for your Packers tickets. Make sure you check with Ticket King before getting Packers tickets anywhere else. Again, that's Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packers Total Access Live. All right, Tim, we got several different topics we're going to hit on, man. I'm excited. I think Emilio will join us here shortly, so we'll have him come in and wreck the whole party. That's the way that's going to roll. Before we get to it, though, man, I know you were talking a little bit offline. We got a date in history. Is that right?
Yeah, I got my my trusty Packer calendar here from the Pro Shop for my desk, and I just thought this was kind of cool. On this date in 1936, the Packers won the league title for the fourth time in 8 seasons. They defeated the Boston Redskins 21-6 in the NFL championship game on this date in 1936 at the Polo Grounds in New York. Fun side note, it was also the third time they beat Boston that season, I believe. If I'm correct, I think they beat them twice during the season, and then they beat them for the title.
That's what it looks like here. I actually just pulled up the Pro Football Reference page for the 1936 team, and you're right, man. It looked like it was they played Boston in Week 5, October the 11th. Got a dub there, right? What did they win that one? 30. It's kind of weird how they scored.
31-2.
Heck yeah, man!
Yikes!
31-2. Then they played them again in Week 9, where they beat them 7-3, right? And then, of course, in the championship game, they beat them 21-6. So pretty darn cool there. Let's see if we got some stats here. Passing, it was Arnie Herbert. You guys know Arnie Herbert.
Here's the guy.
A dude that, from what I understood, worked in the field house, and Curly gave him a tryout, and he ended up going on to I think he's a Hall of Famer. Am I right, Tim? I think Arnie Herbert,
yeah, for sure.
Football Hall of Famer. So threw for 1,239 yards that year, 11 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. He's in the Hall of Fame. Isn't that wild?
I love it.
Different time, man.
Look at the names up there, though, man. Johnny Blood, you got Clark Hinkle. Just royalty right there.
That's what's awesome, too, is back then you had multiple guys throw the football. You know, you had quarterback, halfback, fullback, split back. There's all kinds of different names for the backs, and all of them would throw the ball from time to time for sure. As far as running the ball and receiving, let's see, rushing yards, kind of hard to differentiate. Clark Hinkle rushed for 476 yards on 100 attempts, so he averaged 4.8 yards a pop there. Johnny Blood only had 65 yards rushing that year. When we go to receiving, though, Don Hudson, 536 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns. Absolutely dominating there. Johnny Blood was more of a receiving back that year, it looks like, with 147 yards receiving. So just cool stuff, man. Really, really cool stuff for sure. I was trying to see, obviously they didn't keep up with sacks that year. This thing gets a little wonky. Actually, they did. It looks like they were at least able to account for 2 sacks in Lou Gordon with 1 and Walt Kostlin.
Yeah, they must have went back and just kind of looked at some stuff, because
when 3 clips they had, right?
Wasn't it like until like the late 80s they started registering sacks?
It was
like 70s or 80s they started registering sacks as an official statistic.
Yeah, because they went back and tried to pull the old tape and try to tally it up, because there's many people that believe that Willie Davis is actually the sack leader, right, that played for the Packers. But, of course, they didn't start charting the sack until well after he had retired, if I understood correctly.
Right.
nonetheless, it's cool to go back in time and kind of take a look around. So there's your 1936 Green Bay Packers, obviously led by Curly Lambeau. Pretty cool that was the date today on the calendar that you had on your Packers calendar, man. That's always good stuff. So
yeah, love to share it, man. It's awesome. We don't do it all the time, but when we see a cool stat like that, right, you gotta remember your championships for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Also want to say this, guys, everybody follows in, hit that like button for us. We appreciate it. Go and make sure you vote here on YouTube. We got a YouTube poll question up. Last night we had a really good conversation around Rich Bisaccia, and I was surprised, Tim, that so many people in the chat were anti-Rich Bisaccia. Like, hey, he's just, we could do better at special teams is the vibe I got. And I didn't want to put words in anybody's mouth. So what we did was put up a poll question. I said, do you think Rich Bisaccia should be replaced at the end of the season? So the question is, yes or no, should they replace Rich Bisaccia? Right now, 79% says no and 21% says yes. I was just telling Tim offline, guys, I was expecting that to be flipped based off the conversation we had in the chat last night, but it sounds like the majority of the people are in agreement with me that, again, I don't think we have the best special teams in the league by no stretch of the imagination, but the big holes that we seen 2-3 years ago, I feel like they've buttoned those up and buttoned them up significantly. But what do you think about that question there, Tim? And I know it can get to be a spirited debate and this and that. I know, like you said offline, man, you kind of like to wait till the end of the season. I almost put that in there as the third option. Wait till the end of the season. But I was like, that's an easy cop out. We ain't doing it. So
yeah, I'm gonna take the easy cop out though. I'm definitely that guy. We're not a poverty franchise. We don't need to have these conversations with a month left of football plus to go. But ask me after this year. You never know. I may have an answer for you. But right now, Rich is our guy, and I'm in agreement with you. I feel like we never expected a top 5, top 10 special teams unit. We just didn't want them to be a complete dumpster fire. This is also the special teams unit that's got us a few game-winning field goals, blocking a potential game-winning field goal. So there have been some bright spots as well. So I'm not ready to let old Rich go just yet.
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
Thanks, Rich. I know. Thank you.
All right. I Rock in the chat says, is that poll serious? LOL. Obviously keep Big Rich. So there you go with that. Donovan Schilling, however, said, I read it wrong and voted yes. I don't think we should. So I think he's saying they should let him go. Wait a minute. No, I don't think we should. See, this is way too confusing, guys. He says, I don't
know. I'm not a doctor.
Do you think Rich Bisaccia should be replaced at the end of the season? He said he messed up and voted yes. So he's actually on the no side, right? Am I thinking that correctly?
I believe so. Yeah.
Right. You believe so. All right, we're just going to move on. We've screwed this up completely. That's what we do on the show. It sucks, right? So, no, I was really surprised, though, that so many people, because last night, man, it was like the pitchforks were out. And And like I told Emilio live on the air, like I had to take a step back. Hey, man, listen, if there's that many people that disagree with me, like on this topic, I've got to be the one that's wrong here. You gotta be willing to lower that ego and go, okay, something I'm missing here. But obviously the chat here is, or the poll question is obviously saying you want to keep him. Let's see here. Drew D in the chat said, I've seen Bisaccia coach up positional players on the sideline. He has a history of being interim head coach, so he can help with more than just special teams. And obviously, Drew, that's why he's the assistant coach, right? I think there's some value in that as well, for sure. Yep. Donovan Schilling did confirm, don't fire, LOL. So he does not want him fired. There you go. Jeremy Hatter says, remember, guys, Rich is also the assistant coach. Yes, sir. Kenneth Hammond says, Tupac LaFleur was really flipping ash at the reporters today. I didn't know. Kenneth, can you give us an idea of what you're talking about there? Because I didn't listen to the presser earlier. Was it any specific topic that maybe Tupac LaFleur went a little gangster?
Maybe it's that extra lung dart that he had there. He's got one in his hand. He's got, one behind the ear. Maybe he just had too many lung darts, and that's what he meant.
Yeah, definitely keep an eye on the chat for that for me, Tim. I want to see what he had to say there. DJ Colvin in the chat said, what's this talk? I say we keep him. From before he got here till now, plus he brought us Nixon and Jacobs. He definitely had a big role in recruiting both of those players. There's no two ways about that. Mr. Larry, good to see you, buddy. Says special teams isn't great, but has improved marginally. Don't want to start over. where we're getting close to contending. That's a great point too, because
Yes.
sometimes people think change means better, and that's not necessarily the case, right?
That's true. That's kind of like, Larry's basically backing up what I was telling you offline, right? Like it's an uncomfortable conversation to have when you're, contending right now. And, you have seen some improvements. We're just not there yet. Let's give it time. This is year 3 of the Rich Bisaccia experience, So I don't think it's time to panic yet.
Definitely. Kenneth in the chat said, having fun with injury questions is what
That's what he said. Yeah.
There you go.
So we might have to look at the pressers.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Already hit Donovan Schilling. Ron Sample said roster stability and health can greatly affect special teams each year. So true. So true. And then Jeremy came in with the hot take here and says, and this is all over Twitter too, man. There's Packer fans getting loud around Jaire. There's no two ways about it. Jeremy Hatter says they need to replace Jaire. He's a game changer when he plays, but he's not been worth the contract so far. And best ability is availability. I cannot argue with that. And matter of fact, we got a tweet. Let me just go ahead and get my Twitter handle pulled up here because there was a tweet. We'll skip ahead to it and then bounce back. That someone had actually tweeted out the latest number there, if I can find it. And obviously, guys, we're talking about Jaire. It was announced he will not play tomorrow. Sunday. So that is pretty much a done deal there. There it was, a tough look. All right, here was the tweet I wanted to highlight for you guys and gals. So Rob Reischel tweeted out on Sunday, Packers cornerback Jaire Alexander will miss his 31st game in Green Bay's last 65. I get emotional over it, man. The Packers can save nearly $7 million in cap room by dumping Alexander in 25, which is exactly what they should do. My story at Forbes. So if you guys want to go check out the story there with Rob, make sure you just click on that link there that I have tweeted out and kind of get his take on it. So, it's probably a little deeper than just 7 million. Obviously you can go post June 1 and probably get a little bit more. There's multiple ways you can handle this, right? You actually go ahead and wipe some of it clean this year and absorb it. Do you want to trade him as opposed to cut him? Do you want him back? I don't think there's anybody that's a Packer fan that doesn't want Jaire back if he's going to be on the field, right? So I think we can kind of put that to bed. No one's sitting here going, Jaire's a bum, Jaire's trash. I think we all agree, man, when he's on the field, he's one of the best corners in the league. The problem is, man, Tim, this was kind of the turning point for me today. And I'm not saying I'm bored with cut him in the offseason. I'm just simply saying I really had to self-evaluate. I had to reflect a little bit today. When this came out that he wasn't playing after being full participant for 2 days in a row, and there's some people that believe that Matt made the decision because he didn't like the way Jaire was practicing, like it was almost like he wasn't going full steam ahead. And I heard other rumors that there was a mile per hour check and he couldn't meet some kind of requirement. I'd never heard that before. Maybe that was just Twitter fodder. But the fact that Jaire is going to miss tomorrow again, man, it is wild. It's really wild, man, to think about.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and we can speculate on what we think the reason is. It doesn't change the fact that Ja's not playing football on Sunday night. And like you said, when he's available, we love him. When he's not, it sucks. And you're talking basically half the time there, little less than 50% of the games he's not available. So, I don't know. Again, talk to me after this year, but you're right. Is there a cut coming? Trading seems difficult given that contract. So I don't know. And plus he's not doing himself any favors, not being available. I don't know how much trade value, Ja even has at this point. I'm not saying that teams wouldn't trade for him, but man, it would have to be a sweetheart deal for them to try and get, a trade done. So I would think maybe that's where they're looking at. However, I will say this, if you cut him, then now, we're suddenly the cornerback room is looking a little different, right? We're talking about, everyone wants Eric Stokes Jr. on the first thing smoking out of Green Bay, and, we've got some question marks with, Corey Ballantyne is older. He's getting older. We don't know how long he's going to be playing in that secondary. Carrington Valentine, I think, has proven that he's worth sticking around and continuing to put some development in. We know Keyshawn can play on the boundary. But I mean, we have issues to address even with Jaire on this team. So I don't know if just dumping him is the right thing to do. But then again, you're right. If you're paying for someone to be around and they're they're basically available half of the season. It's tough to defend that. But I will say this, if it's injury related, it is what it is. And I don't want to hear people, talking trash about a dude who's physically unable to go, and if it's not, if we're teetering into Devondre Campbell territory here and it's it's a heart and an attitude kind of thing, then that's a whole different conversation. Right. And I don't think that's the case with Jaire. I think it's got to be physical setback. Maybe there is truth to that mile per hour test. Maybe that's how they evaluate, leg injuries. They do the old Michael Scott, have you run, see how fast you can run, right?
With the cars going by.
You got to hit a certain mile per hour there. They probably just don't want you on the field because it points to the fact that your injury is keeping you slow and ineffective and increasing the chance for, re-aggravating or making things worse and having a setback. So I get it, but I'm not going to personally be mad at Jaire and act like, what the hell are you doing? Why aren't you playing? It may not entirely be up to him. This is a collective between the staff and the player, and the doctors. So we'll see.
Yeah. And I want to say I read somewhere too, Matt said he didn't want it to turn into the same thing that happened last time where he goes out there, plays 10 plays, and now he's set back again. Right. So I can understand that. Donovan Schilling in the chat did say Matt said the mile per hour thing. So that was true, according to Donovan Schilling here. So appreciate that, Donovan. Thank you, buddy. Chris N says Jaire said it himself. He won't play unless he's 100%. No player is 100% after week 1 in the NFL. That's what all the former players say. I know Mark Tauscher's been vocal about that. Mark Chmura has been vocal about that. Like, these guys,
those dudes played in a different era, man.
This is them off because they're like, man, you guys would have never lasted when we played.
That's right.
Everybody was banged up.
That's a great point by Chris, though. It's so true. I won't play unless I'm 100%. So you're saying you're not going to play then? That's what you're saying, because nobody in this locker room feels great right now. They're all going through the same grueling 17-game season. So it's a good point.
Kenneth Hammond said, "How did Favre do it, man? I'll tell you,
Miller Lite,
Miller Lights. What did he say? Ed Too Far and Barley. What was the other thing he said? Trying to think, there was something else when they got him from Atlanta. Man, they said that he was really overweight. He said, "Man, I was eating way too much beans and rice and drinking cheap beer, type of thing." So, what Favre did is really remarkable in terms of always being available, no matter what. It's wild. That's what's so fun to go back and watch those old games on YouTube as well from the 90s, because at least 70% of those games he was hurt.
Oh yeah,
brilliant, right? So
I'll tell you, that's what's fun to watch about Josh Allen right now. You watch the way he's playing. I believe he's on 105 starts or something in a row. He's coming up into the modern day Iron Man status. That's a guy that plays banged up, and it's true. It's a different era now. So it's always fun to see the guys that are kind of a throwback to that old hard-nosed era.
Right.
Drew D in the chat says a PCL injury for a cornerback is absolutely devastating, though. It takes away their ability to change directions. I don't want Jaire to go out there just to get cooked because of a bad PCL. It's so true, man. Nobody wants him to go out there and be a liability, right? That's a fact. But I know we got Emilio joining us now. Emilio,
the float builder. How did it go?
You'll see. I mean, no, the had to watch the trailers. I think it's the first time I've done it all year, and then shine it up and stuff. And I got to get the tire wax on it tomorrow. But it's coming together. Got some candy canes on it. It's for the kids. We just there chucking candy.
Nice.
And I had to ask him last night, Tim. Telling you, man, it's like, hey, you throw candy at kids, don't you? Like, you try to hit them. Oh yeah, dude.
The best ones. I've probably those square Skittles or like the M&Ms. You grab them, kind of frisbee them out the window.
Yeah.
I'll have the
just trying to earhole people.
Yeah, I'll have the missus and the German Shepherd in the bed of the truck, and then we'll be just kind of checking it around. It'll be a good time.
Nice.
Right. All right, man. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to mention this, Emilio. Last night, you remember the conversation about Rich Bisaccia, right?
Yeah.
So I put a poll question up because I'm expecting it's going to run away. People want him gone, right? Check this out. Do you think Rich Bisaccia should be replaced at the end of the season? 83% said no. 17% yes. So the 83% think that they should keep him. Am I taking crazy pills? It felt like the opposite last night, did it not?
last night was on the hot seat. Definitely, Rich. The Packers didn't know about it, but man was in the hot seat in the chat, and I think they had some really valid points. Right? It's not like, but the problem was we just needed more info. Like, where are we getting the numbers? I completely understand having that take. When I dug into it a little bit more, I think the PFF grade being so low had to do a lot with Narv pulling down with the missed field goals and things like that. That's not something that we can just wash from our special teams grade. That's there the whole season. We're committed to that. So I do think that's kind of what knocked it down. So I'm eager to see how whoever grades him, the special teams with all his categories. I'm excited to kind of see what he has at the end of the year. Yeah,
for sure, man. Because that's kind of the true test in the public eye. Because I know that his grading system gets mentioned every year. It's like it seems to be the authority in how good or bad a special team is, for sure.
Right.
All right, let's go back to Twitter real quick. I listened to Devondre Campbell chatter continue today. I tweeted this out. This was a story that was screenshotted when the 49ers signed Devondre Campbell. And this guy, Adam Springstro, says it's most certainly someone else's fault. So that story that he screenshotted there was someone is about to get a great football player that has been badly misused. Well, let's get it, though. Let's get it, though. So that was from Devondre Campbell when he signed with the 49ers way back in the day. So he really doubled and tripled down on that on his way out. I forgot how adamant he was about, hey, you guys misused me again. Right.
Brought the captain's chain. Yeah, he showed Debo that's his captain's chain. He's going to be wearing it. So we'll see.
And I also tweeted this out, said window closed. ML Football had put a tweet out. There was a fight between 49ers fans at the game last night. So the window is closed, my friends. It's time to back up and punt, try to rebuild a little bit. You got to decide, all right, we're going to pay Brock Purdy or not.
He's saying, take that Devondre Campbell jersey off. You crazy?
I love how one guy is upside down in the bleachers and everyone else is just hovering over him, right?
Yep.
Like, come on, help a brother out here, man. What are we doing? So, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm lucky, but every time I've been to Lambeau, I've been there probably 10 or 12 times now. Never see it.
Ever. The most you might get is one too many daddy sodas, and you might need to be assisted out of the seating area. But
I mean,
I've never experienced that in all my years of going to games. I've never seen that in the stands. Yeah,
a little assistance, Tim. You'll have that. I mean, the concrete can be slippery. It can be cold. The poles, sometimes they move the poles in the center of the aisle. It really just depends on how you're feeling getting out of there.
And I'm speaking for myself here, but I think a lot of other fans might agree is that. A lot of us, when we go to games at Lambeau, you feel like an ambassador to that stadium and to our team. And you're not just a fan taking up space. You're there to help your fellow fans. You're there to, make sure everyone else has a good time too and cheer on your team. So, yeah, you're not going to see this type of behavior at Lambeau Field. It's not going to happen.
The closest I ever seen, Monday Night Football, Packers-Vikings, Aaron Rodgers' first start as the starting quarterback. All right. And we're 13 rows from the field right next to the players' tunnel. And this huge Minnesota Vikings fan walks into our section, right? He's got his ticket, looking at the seat numbers, right? He was at least 6'5", and he looked like he was 7 foot tall with a big horn helmet, big old boy. He was every bit of 300 pounds, just a hoss cat. He walks into that section with that ticket, and he looks at this guy and says, I think you're in my seat. And this dude stands up, and I'm not kidding you. He was at least 55 years old. He was probably 5'7", no hair, completely bald, right? And he looked at his ticket. He said, "Excuse my language, kids in the room, ear muffet, okay? Here's your warning, ear muffet." He goes, there you go, Amelia. The guy looks at the ticket and goes, "It's on the other side, dipshit." And that fan went, "Well, no, it says this ticket right." He took it well. I went, "Oh, this is going to get bad. He's going to squash this little guy, right?" And he said, "No, it's on the other side, dipshit." And he asked somebody else, and he said it one more time. And finally, that big Viking dude turned around and looked down at that little guy, and he went, "Why are you calling me a dipshit?" That little dude went, "I'm calling you a dipshit because you're a dipshit." Unbelievable, man. And sure enough, that guy, Marsh, I kind of felt bad for the Viking fan because he was being somewhat civil. And then that old man turned around, looked at everybody, and just smiled and sat back down. He'd probably been sitting there for 40 years. You know what I mean?
He's been calling Viking fans dipshits for 50 years at least.
And they probably the same people have been selling those tickets that he keeps bumping into, right? Everybody keeps coming down there and buying those tickets. He's probably done that 100 times.
Right.
God, it was hilarious.
I love it.
Hilarious. All right, moving along here. This was a funny sequence in tweets here. I put out earlier. Rob Domofsky said no sign of Jaire Alexander out there earlier today. I put no Jaire part of today part of the plan ? And then the very next tweet, no Jaire Alexander this week either. So he's out.
Oh, and cool. And Seattle's now down another running back, so they're going to want to throw the ball even more. Yay!
Very true. And that's what you're seeing right here. Adam Schefter tweeted out, Seahawks are listing running back Kenneth Walker III as doubtful for Sunday night's game versus the Packers due to this calf injury. So doubtful, as you guys know, 75% chance that he will not play. Okay. And again, they can still play him and they could be playing some games here. Typically, though, from what I've understood, the league really cracked down on teams trying to manipulate this injury report. So if a team lists someone as doubtful and they end up playing, the league is pretty hard on them about it. It's not they'll get fined or anything, but they'll go to them like, hey, listen. Right.
That's what the questionable status is for. Just list them questionable then. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
don't everybody laugh me off the podcast, but I will say this, given the injuries and the matchup, if there was a game for Eric Stokes to step up and ball the hell out, it's this Sunday night in Seattle. And I want to stay positive and hope that maybe there's one great game left in that battered, torn up body of his, and he's able to play well because we're going to need him. We're going to need all hands on deck in that secondary on Sunday night.
Mm-hmm. Drew D says in the chat, doubtful these days is like 99% out. I can't think of the last time that somebody listed as doubtful and they played for sure. Right, so I'm with you there, Drew. Greg Rice says pick 6 for Stokes, Tim.
There we go, Greg.
Tim trying to channel this positive energy around Stokes. I'm all about it. Need it.
Speak it into existence. Hey, nobody's worked harder to get back than Eric Stokes, man. That guy was barely walking a year ago. So all that's left for him to do is play well. That's the one thing we're waiting on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 2-0 for this says, as Journey says, don't stop believing. Sing it for me, Emilio. Right. Don't
that's actually a jam, and I would.
Emilio needs 2 or 3 more daddy sodas.
I would, though. I 100% would, dude. If I was in the truck right now, you probably could get me to do it, but 2 or 3 more daddy sodas would do it, too.
We need the quarter Mexican, quarter Italian version of that song.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just fill in some words and stuff. It'll happen.
Let's see. Holmes in the chat says, I agree, Tim. Stokes needs to man up. There you go. Daryl in the chat, good to see you, buddy. Says McKinney has to get a couple more INTs this Sunday.
Gonna have the chance.
Yeah, if you the ball's gonna be in the air. There's no doubt about it, right? And this is a Jeff Hafley game too, boys. You know what I mean? Like, hey, let's see. This is playoff football, is what we're talking about here. Like these teams are both competing for seeding. Obviously, they're competing. Seattle's competing to hold on to that NFC West. The Packers are looking to hold on to that 6 seed, possibly move up to the 5 seed. You're going to get the best version of both these teams. They're not holding anything back now. We're going to see what Jeff Hafley's got in his bag, man, against a team like Tim said that likes to throw it all over the yard. So,
I mean, we can talk about the secondary all day and what they need to do, but really, that front four is going to determine this game and how Hafley uses them. We got to get creative with our D line for sure.
Yeah. And Prince in the chat said, is Cooper questionable or doubtful? Let's go to the tape here. It sounds like he's going to play from what I heard, but here is the actual report. Okay. Edgerrin Cooper, limited. Today he was full.
And he has no status.
Good to go.
He's going to play. Let's go.
So
can he play slot corner?
Yeah, exactly. Jaire Alexander's out. Javon Bullard's out. Corey Ballantyne is questionable, so 50-50 shot there. Luke Musgrave was limited all week, but he's out. No surprise there. So other than that, everyone else is good to go. That means Romeo Dobbs cleared concussion protocol. Evan Williams cleared concussion protocol. Like we said, Edgerrin Cooper and that hamstring, he's good to go. Isaiah McDuffie with that ankle, it's been ailing him for the last few weeks, although he's played every week. He's good to go. Sounds like everybody is good to go. So what do you guys think about the injury report outside of Javon Bullard and Jaire Alexander? Pretty darn good news, really.
Yep.
Yeah, especially Rome, right? Good to see him back. Look to see them try and get him going early. We talked about that this morning, right? You don't normally try to focus on one guy and force feed him the ball, but Rome's missed a couple of weeks here. I would like to see them target him early and often and get his game legs under him again.
Yeah, I'm happy he came back, like you said, Tim. That was a little scary, him being out for a couple of weeks. You don't want to see a concussion get extended past, a week, maybe 2, but it felt like he was pushing 3. So I'm happy he's all right. And yeah, just having Evan Williams come back too is going to be big. But how much are we going to push him? Is he going to go out there and start? Is it going to be Zane out there to start? I'm wondering how they're going to kind of dial that up. And Ja, it's tough on Ja, man. It really is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there is your information on that, Prince. Appreciate you asking that question, buddy. Again, we're just kind of walking through the injury report. Let's go to the Seattle Seahawks side. Trey Brown, cornerback, is out. Artie Burns, cornerback, doubtful. All right. Tackle Stone Forsyth is out. And then you've got Jarek Reed, safety with the quadricep. He's out. Brady Russell, tight end with the foot, is out. Kenneth Walker III, like we said, is doubtful, 75% chance that he will not play. And then Kayvon Wallace, safety, is out. So, guys, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you're talking about what? Most likely 1, 2, 3, 4 defensive backs that are going to miss this game for the Seahawks. So they're banged up too. There's no two ways about it. And, really what comes to mind here when you're talking about Jaire missing the game, Javon Bullard missing the game, against a pass-heavy team and a quarterback that's playing pretty darn well. PFF has him as a top 10 quarterback this year in Geno Smith. They come out winging it around. You may get into a shootout here, right? That's very possible. So,
yeah, I think that could be an issue, definitely not having that. And then, even looking at it, it seems like a lot of their line, a lot of the interior is banged up. So it's not like they're at 100%. I know they had some rest and stuff, but, they got their linebackers in there, didn't rest, didn't participate, full participation, and then didn't do anything. You know what I mean? So it's not like they're putting in a full week there. They're not, game ready, practice how you play, all that kind of stuff. And I think that Matt preaches that with this team. I think it also helps our age for sure.
Yeah, I hope Matt doesn't get too shot play heavy, seeing that they're banged up too in that secondary. It's like, hey, don't forget, let's keep pounding the run. Let's stick with what's been working lately. But I think there is a strong possibility that we could just see you could see Jay Love out there and our boy Geno Smith just launching bombs all day long.
I tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised to see too is us really keying on the pass and give them the run, and they may come away with gaudy run numbers. Right, I could see that happening. But us,
bend but don't break. No big plays, no explosives.
Bingo.
Yeah.
But I like that idea because how is it 66% of their offense is based on the pass? If you really try to clamp that down, keep 7, 8 in coverage, we're going to be rushing 3 or 4 kind of thing. I think that wouldn't be opposed to it at all. I'd rather them have to run it down our throat all game long if that's the case.
Now, if we start seeing 20 and 30-yard chunk runs left and right, we may have to rethink that approach.
Right. We'll have a convo. We'll call a timeout and talk about it on the sideline. Dan Lee in the chat became a YouTube member. Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks, and welcome to the PTA Posse. So we'll make sure that you're entered into the contest to get the autographed LVN jersey, Lucas Van Ness autographed jersey, just like this one right here. We're going to be giving away on the post-game show. We're going to put your name along with every other YouTube member's name on the Larry McCarron pinky wheel. We're going to spin that sucker, and whoever it lands on is going to win that autographed jersey. We're also going to be adding everyone in the Patreon group that's a member of one of our 3 tiers, just a way for us to give back to you. That's given to us. So if you want to join the Patreon group, scan the QR code in the upper right, or just go to patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access. Or if you're not familiar with Patreon and just want to get yourself into the contest, just make sure you're a YouTube member here on YouTube, part of the PTA Posse. Appreciate you, Dan. Welcome to the Posse, bud. DJ Colvin said,
That's from Rumble. I just wanted to say, appreciate you.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, there you go. Hey, listen, Rumble is blowing up.
It is.
I was looking on there. I could get this adjusted. I have to adjust it every time somebody jumps on the show. Look at him. Love it. So yeah, Rumble is going crazy. I looked at the other day and didn't realize just how many people we had on there. If you search Green Bay Packers on Rumble, we are running away with the total in subs. Like Packers are second, and we're beating them by like, I don't know what, 20% or something, which is crazy. So
absolutely. I'm just happy they're in here. I know they listen every show. I know we got a handful that are always on there, but you can always comment. It'll still pop up in our system. We can always put it on.
Yeah, do me a favor. Let me close this door because the dogs are barking. Read that comment. I think it's about Jaire.
DJ from Rumble said they could have been trying him out, and he still fell off. They probably decided together that he needed a little bit more time playing DB. It's a lot of quick movement changes, and it's a knee. So, I mean, that's how I tore my ACL. I was planting, pivoting to open my hip, and the foot just stayed in the ground, and my knee kept turning. So it's like there's not, it can happen so frequently. And if he's not going to be wearing a brace, if he's going all natural, and you really have to have confidence in that. I think it's a big mental hurdle. But again, dude, if you feel anything, it pops a little bit. It feels awkward when you finish your plant. If you can't run on your toes, I think all that stuff's really going to affect him. And you have to make quick breaks and decisions playing corner. I would rather him not get shook out of his shoes and, take it off. We got still a couple, a little bit longer, it being a Monday game. And like we said, I'd be fine if he struggles to get back and he can come back 100% in the playoffs, makes a couple plays. I don't think we're going to be worrying about him missing games, even though, half those misses is tough in his career.
My knee.
Hey, can I rant?
I agree real quick. I just got to say I agree 100% with Emilio's logic because Ja's my dude. You guys know that. I'm a huge Jaire fan, always have been. Probably the most excited the day we drafted him. And think he's played some really quality ball for us down the stretch. But I would hate to see him go out there to get, 7 snaps in and just completely gut that knee. And it's a wrap. And then we're having a whole different conversation because now we're looking at, do we even have a Jaire available to play next year? We're talking about freeing up cap room and all these things. I'd rather make those decisions in the offseason with a guy that is fully healthy or is as close to it as he can be.
Right.
Definitely. So I need to rant here a second. Are you guys keeping up with this Mark Gastineau story with Brett Favre?
Didn't I send y'all the clip of that when were you talking the one where he walked up to him in like the
most awkward, uncomfortable Michael Scott type of conversation you've ever seen in your life?
That's the one. So the reason it got filmed too, it was all staged, right, to catch Brett off guard because it was for a 30 for 30 documentary on the sack exchange, the pass rush for the Jets that year. And Mark Gastineau walking around, bitching and moaning and crying about he didn't get his sack. I want my sack, Brett. I want my sack. Hey, Mark, how about can we ask you a question, Bub, real quick, since you're so concerned with that one sack?
Oh, we're going to give him some
Were you on steroids when you got that sack? Ooh, boy, nobody allowed to talk about that. Roided it out of his mind. Allegedly. Let's say allegedly to protect our arses here. All right. But come on. You really going to complain about one sack that Brett Favre laid down on for Michael Strahan? Oh, by the way.
First of all, I remember that play vividly. Like the game just happened yesterday. And Brett had nowhere to go and nothing to do but go to the ground on that play. I'd love to run back the tape on that one just to show everybody.
The fact that it's become this popular thing to try to pile on Brett, right? And we know 99% of it was politics. We know how that went, right? Yep. But it's amazing. These people come out of the woodwork. And I know there's talk, let me put it up here. I don't know if Holmes is being serious or not. He may or may not be. He says, Mark has CTE, guys, give him a break. If that's the case, then why the hell is no one else jumping on ESPN for taking advantage of that and trying to make this big issue and try to, sell copies or sell views to this documentary, right? It's just like, oh, Brett's a bad guy. Brett's a bad guy. Brett's a bad guy. And if he does indeed have CTE and he's out of pocket complaining about this in the documentary, I've got it on the TV here. It looked like he's been bitching and moaning the entire show, right? Yep. And then for them to set it up with a camera and try to make Brett look bad at that autograph session, then why is no one speaking out on ESPN for basically exploiting the fact that he's got CTE?
Taping it from your hip, probably with your hand around the corner, just to make sure. No camera on the shoulder. We can't be too noticeable here.
Yeah, exactly. IROC in the chat says, I thought it was a sketch comedy skit, to be honest. It was strange. And I thought Brett handled it perfect. Brett tried to humble himself. Hey, man, you probably hurt me if you sack me. Just like, and you're looking at Brett and he's got these pythons. I'm like, Brett would knock his teeth down his throat right now. We know this. Yep. It just drives me. It's insane, man. It's insane.
You think God never farted?
Yeah, and Jay said Jason Wilde saying Brett changed the play call was supposed to be a run play. He decided to pull it on a naked boot. That's a common thing. Listen, you could watch.
So he could have just called the run play, and then there would have been no sack, and then everyone could shut the hell up. Then, right?
I think Brett did it on purpose. That's my opinion. Okay,
yep.
Is that right or wrong? I don't know, and I really don't care. The fact that there's a grown man and now this entire 4-letter network that's following him around trying to get a story out of it is just. It's strange. It's really strange. Yep. Because, again, T.J. Watt, didn't he tie the record too? It's like not even a record now. And his whole thing, Gastineau's whole thing was, man, I lost a lot of money because I wasn't the sack king for us. Like, shut the hell up. Go get a job. Like, all those years you missed out on money with autographs. Why don't you join the rest of the working class, you moron? Why don't you get out there and actually
get another
break
sack?
Your back and try to support your family instead of, I want to go sign a card and make extra money. Shut the hell up. I can't stand grown men acting like that. It drives me insane, man. I
got some advice for y'all. Take 2 weeks off, then quit.
Tim, you're not helping with all these. So, anyway, let's move on. I'm just saying, I looked at about everywhere I've turned on social media, I turned to the TV, it's Mark Gastineau complaining. It's like, can we shut up about this already? How many championships did y'all win? Okay, nobody cares. Go on. Go back to
and individual stats and stuff like that. Those type of records, they're, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're meant to be broken. You know, I mean, Michael Jordan is, no longer the all-time scoring leader in the NBA, right? We've had that change hands a few times. Baseball has new home run kings now. Things, records, especially individual ones, man. Those are everyone's records are going to be broken.
Yeah, and like Drew says here, given Brett's health, I think it's time for him to be off limits. Like he's dealing with Parkinson's. Like, for God's sakes, what are we? The election's over. The grandstanding can stop now. Let's all go back to talking football. And we got to hear this knucklehead run, this meathead run.
And dudes over there, I mean, if you had all this time to think about something to say to Brett Favre about him stealing the sack, lead from you or whatever, you couldn't have come up with something other than "You hurt me, Brett." Brett.
I think he was expecting Brett to buck. And Brett handled it with class. And Mark Gastineau was like, this didn't go as planned. You hurt me, Brett. You hurt me. Shut up.
All right, bro.
And Brett's like,
sit your butt outside.
Just give me one more word other than you hurt me, please.
Yeah. It's just, it's hard to stomach, man. Again. And I guess the reason that it bothers me so much is like, these are grown men acting like this, I grew up in a house where her mom passed away when she was like 16, right? She had her first kid when she was 17. Her dad was an alcoholic, and she had to take care of him. Like, she raised 2 brothers and took care of an alcoholic father, and they lived in the housing projects. Like, she had every bad card dealt against her from day one, and she never complained one time. And you got grown men who, you hurt me, Brett. Shut up, dude. God,
tell me how you really feel about it, Clayton.
Yeah, well, that's it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side. Maybe you probably won't come back, and I don't blame you. Right. We'll see y'all over there for hour 2. Appreciate you.